Ladies, gentlemen, I'm Good Maurice. This is Chopper. Today we're going to discuss why he is one of the most underrated, underutilized characters in the game. With the Maul meta quickly fading, we can now throw him in there and he really shines in the current meta. He absolutely destroys anybody with a pre-taunt. Very similar to my old Asajj tricks if you guys have watched my older videos. Just lightning quick dispel, removes turn meter, and just leaves the team wide open. With that said, we'll take a quick look at his kit, how to utilize him, and also how I have him modded and use him in Arena. While he's fantastic in an all Phoenix squad, this video is pretty much going to demonstrate his uses outside of a Phoenix squad. We'll start with his basic attack. It's called the Reckless Fling. Yes, it does laughable damage, but it's not the damage you're after with this basic. It's all the attached goodies that come along with it. After you throw your magical pebbles, you grant a random Phoenix ally offense up, defense up, or speed up. Any of the three at random for 2 turns, right? And in a lot of these comps, he is the only Phoenix. Sometimes I use Ezra. So if he's the only Phoenix, he's granting himself offense, defense, or speed up, and then also at the bottom here with a 60% chance to also reduce that ally's cooldowns. So he's throwing his magical rocks. He has a chance to reduce his own cooldown and self buffs. That is a pretty awesome basic attack. Yes, the damage sucks, but it's the whole package that is really got me jazzed about this character. The next move we'll talk about is his taunt move. And you'll notice here at the top, you'll see Rebel, Phoenix, Droid, and Support. He's actually a support character that taunts, which is pretty unique in the game. Nothing overly complex about his taunt. It's just for 1 turn, and he gains 30% evasion while taunting. On paper, it looks rather underwhelming, as it's only for 1 turn. But if you time it properly, that 1 turn, you can soak up all the damage from the opposing team. And the 30% evasion is nothing to laugh at. You know, a lot of teams are using the Kenobis now. There's all sorts of retribution, you know. So in the event of just you can drop an AoE on somebody and it just mass retribution comes at you, Chopper's going to evade 30% of those attacks. Metal Menace is the name of his Dispel move. Dispel all buffs on a target enemy. For each buff dispelled, you're gonna remove 10% turn meter, and Chopper gains 25% protection. Droids are also stunned for 1 turn. Now, why is this so good? It's because Chopper has a base speed of 152. He's currently the 15th fastest character in the entire game. When modded properly, he's going to be first to act. So, what you do when you're first to act is you jump right out, dispel Baze or Shore Trooper, or even in the Sith teams, the Sith Trooper gives himself defense up at the start of the match. So you can dispel that, and you remove turn meter from the entire team. In the case of Sith and Shore Trooper, they only have 1 buff to dispel, so the whole team's going to lose 10% turn meter. But Baze has retribution and taunt, so you're taking away 20% turn meter from the whole team. And what you do is you leave the team wide open, no protection whatsoever, at a speed disadvantage immediately after the first move of the match. Moving on to his unique ability now. It's called Maintenance Protocols. This basically gives him 15% of his max health back every time he takes a turn. And with him going lightning fast, he's going to get a lot of health back. All sorts of setups you can use with a turret. You know, he's going to gain ridiculous amounts of health under a wedge lead. He gets even more health back from crit hits. All sorts of cool stuff you can do with him. And every time he's damaged, he gets protection up 15% if he doesn't have it up already, which can come in handy. He can eat a little bit of damage, lose the protection up, then just repeat. So now we'll kind of dive into how I have him modded and some general strategy if you're going to attempt to use him. Let's take a look at his base stats. I have him modded purely for speed. When discussing speed, speed is always relevant to the server you're on. You'll notice I have 121 speed on my Chopper, but that's fast enough for my shard for me to get out in front of just about every single character on my shard. Now, if you're going against like a TIE fighter pilot or a like a lightning fast turret, maybe like a Count Dooku, you can always use the Akbar crutch to give yourself even more speed. So if I were to use an Akbar lead, my Chopper would go 298 speed. Nothing very impressive, and actually kind of embarrassing about the rest of his stats here. I just focus purely on speed, very little protection and health. But he's getting the health regen from himself and also under my wedge lead, and then he gives himself the protection up with the evasion. He's got a little survivability without huge core base stats. You only need him fast enough to defeat your shard. You don't want to show all your great speed mods and just blow everybody out of the water by 20 speed, 'Cause, you want to let them think they have a chance to catch up to you. Then when they're a little bit faster than Chopper, you're like, boom, surprise. Now we'll move into how I'm using him, which I think is a highly effective method, especially for the current meta. Lots of creative minds out there. I'm sure you guys, if you start dabbling around with him, will come up with something way cooler. But Chopper is our first character in this group of 5. The core 4. There's going to be 4 characters that I personally use consistently, then in like an alternating 5th spot. So let's go ahead and get to the second character on our list here. Mr. Biggs Darklighter. Good old Biggs. He's modded very, very similar to Chopper in that I just focus purely on speed. Because what you want to do is you want to dispel, right? You want to dispel with Chopper, open up the team, then you want to have Biggs go next and just lay out somebody with his assist attack. Got 104 speed on him. Again, almost no protection and health here. Lots of crit damage. I got a crit damage set on him along with the tenacity set. Tenacity is unnecessary. It's just I think I have a tenacity cross here. Yeah, just 12 speed is the highest speed I had on a crit damage cross available to use. Nothing out of the ordinary. Crit damage there. 4 dots. You want to use a 5 for the extra damage, but again, I got 11 speed on this one, so I'm using this. And then 18 speed here on the tenacity. Ideally, you want to use a crit chance combo to go along with your crit damage. Just in it for the speed. Pretty simple on Biggs. We all know what he does, so we'll move on to his little partner in crime, Wedge Antilles. Wedge is my leader. Given the 30% offense, Rebel allies recover 15% of their max health and 10% turn meter on a crit hit, and then also recover 25% of their max health whenever they defeat an enemy. Pretty standard. People have been using Wedge for months. He kind of took a vacation, but he's coming back in a big way now, and I will be using him at least for the short term, on a daily basis. Crit damage set, I got a crit chance set on him. But you'll notice I have absolutely, 16 speed. Very, very little speed. Got a little bit of protection, a little bit of survivability. He is pretty squishy. I could really use some potency on him. I elected to go pure offense on Wedge. He's slow, but he doesn't need to take many turns, as you'll see in the examples. He gets called in on assist from Kenobi and or Ezra, and also Biggs. Not to mention, when Kenobi's got his retribution up, Wedge will counter, and Wedge with retribution is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. If you've never one-shot an enemy on a counter, you're really missing out. You'll see I have an offensive arrow on him. There's where the 16 speed comes from. A crit damage triangle, and a protection cross. If you can get some good secondary protection on some of your other mods, you can use an offense crosshair. He's just a little too squishy for the mod set I have on him with an offense set, but it'd be ideal. He hits even harder. And the next character we're going to discuss is R2-D2, and R2 with that number crunch is going to give him even more offense. So the more offense, the merrier on Wedge. Got the Zeta on the number crunch, and what that does is it basically gives 10% of all of R2's base stats to light side characters, the Galactic Republic, Rebel, Resistance, and also droids if you're still using those. 10% protection, offense, health, and potency until R2 is defeated. Combat analysis is also Xated. What this does is it gives 10% crit chance and 10% accuracy to all allies. But to the light side allies, when R2-D2 is active, whenever an ally scores a crit hit, it dispels all debuffs on him. And this is super important for this particular setup because I essentially have no cleanser whatsoever. I'm just relying on the assist attacks. A lot of people going in to cleanse themselves. The smoke screen is pretty handy. You're going to slap it on Chopper a good bit. So Chopper's going to get foresight, and and then you can pop the taunt, and he evades 30% of the attacks going forward. So he makes Chopper pretty tough to hit, and basically the enemy wastes a lot of turns, especially on AI. They waste a lot of turns trying to take Chopper out. So it's pretty nifty. Take a look at how I have him modded. Still tinkering around with a nice balance of offense and protection. With the exception of Kenobi, a lot of the characters I'm using are pretty squishy characters, so I've had to elect to go with protection. Again, going back to what we were talking about with Wedge, if you have nice secondary protection and survivability stats on your mod sets, you can elect to go with some offense primaries here to get Wedge, Biggs, and all your characters to hit even harder than they currently are. But you'll see I've snuck some offense in here, 73 there. There's another 81. Almost 40,000 protection R2 has, so he's going to be spreading 4,000 extra protection to all the characters, and that can be a lifesaver in a pinch. So the final piece of the puzzle is our utility spot, our 5th character, and there's lots of characters you can use in this spot. Kenobi is my 1A character. He's the character I leave in on defense overnight. A couple things to touch on with Kenobi. He's got the Negotiator, which is his cleanse move, right? But you don't want to use it for the cleanse aspect of it. You want to use it for the all allies that were not debuffed, gain retribution for 2 turns. All your characters are going to be cleansed, in theory, from all the assist attacks that you've got going around with this team. You got Biggs. You also have Kenobi's assist move, Lead the Charge, which will call all buffed allies to assist. And ideally, you're going to have all your characters stealth from R2, so all of them are going to be attacking, and any of those characters that get a crit chance are going to cleanse themselves. So you'll be able to pop this Negotiator move and get retribution up on at least 3 of your characters, ideally Wedge. If you get him up on all of them, especially like a Nihilus, Nihilus will do his Force Drain move. It's an AoE, he hits them all, they just fire back, and you're talking, I don't know what, 60k plus damage on a counter. I mean, it's pretty impressive. You can one-shot a lot of characters with this concept. Another very good option is going to be Ezra Bridger. Does lots of damage, and he's going a lot. But he's got an extra Dispel in the event that you need that. But also the Watch and Learn, mainly for the support. If you call in a support character, they gain 40% turn meter. And a lot of people forget that Biggs is a support character. So you're going to call in Biggs, and under a Wedge lead, if you crit with Biggs, he gives himself 50% turn meter. It's just going to speed him up, get him to do more assists, more damage, more opportunities to cleanse the rest of your team. I would suggest using him just while you're playing your actual games. You're not going to want to leave him in overnight, because I've left him in a couple times overnight, and I've fallen into the 20s with Ezra in there. So not a good option to leave on defense, but a very, very good option to use on offense just to mow through a team. I mean, we're talking 30, 45 seconds. These Rex leads don't stand a chance. If you're a little slow, can't get out in front, you can use Akbar lead as your 5th and just make Wedge just a typical character. Just take away the Wedge lead, add Akbar lead. With the Akbar lead, you get 25% speed, 10% tenacity. And also, whenever an ally uses an ability that is an attack, i.e. Choppers, both his moves, his taunt, and his Dispel, you just call in somebody to attack. Get creative with it, guys. If you don't have Kenobi or Ezra Bridger geared, you can always throw in Baze or K2SO. Those are nice options. They're Rebel tanks. You can also use your Nihilus, your Kylo, your Boba Fett, just all around good DPS, useful characters. Biston and Jyn are nice options for their turn meter removal. I'm going to let the arena battles play now. I do have copies of these arena battles at normal speed if anybody's interested in those. They're just unlisted. If you're looking for a change of scenery as far as guilds are concerned, or just want a useful all-around tool to help you in your game out, check out www.thealliancegaming.com. I've left a link below. Thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy the domination.